Uh, so the three of us are the appointed resolutions committee this year. I'm the chair for the resolutions committee this year. And so these three resolutions were presented to us. We determined that they are being brought appropriately, they were brought timely, and so they follow the rules that are within our diocesan canons. And so they will be the three that will be brought officially by the resolution committee at convention in just a few weeks. So the first of the three, I'd like to go through those quickly, and then we could open for any other questions or concerns that anyone has in general about resolutions. But the first one that was brought, and I think I saw her join, by Reverend Melinda Bobo. Are you here? She is here. Okay. So I might have her speak more towards this first one, but this one is titled A Resolution to Repudiate the Doctrine of Discovery. The idea is that this is fundamentally opposed to the gospel of Jesus and our understanding of the inherent rights that individuals and peoples have received from God, and is requiring that this declaration be proclaimed among our churches and shared with the United Nations and all nations and people located within the Episcopal Church boundaries. Melinda, do you want to talk a little bit more about this one specifically, where this came from and what you're seeking here?
Certainly. So it's grounded in the resolutions that passed last year, and we have. Sorry, got to put the dog down. The Wyoming Episcopal Justice Task Force had been asked to bring forward what part of what General Convention had advocated. The Becoming Beloved community, which is working consciously and deliberately toward racial, particularly specifically racial justice, but also justice for all peoples, was part of General Convention's really mandates for the church, kind of defining who we are. The doctrine of discovery itself, for those of you who were at the 2021 convention, you'll remember Brian McLaren's presentation on that, is a series of documents that underpin the legal and political systems of the Western world and define who's considered fully human and who is not. It authorizes the exploitation of non-Christian and non-Western European peoples. It was used as the basis for essentially all of the discovery voyages that we have, and continues to be considered legal precedent for dealing with indigenous peoples. The exploitation of people, particularly in Central and South America, and their removal from their own lands, or exclusion from ownership of their own lands, is part of the consequence of the doctrine of discovery. So in order to fulfill our, as the Episcopal Diocese of Wyoming, our desire to work toward equal justice, one of the fundamental things we need to do is assert that the doctrine of discovery is not the way that we will be dealing with one another, and that we will work to dismantle it in the world. Because as long as it's functioning as legal precedent, equal justice is basically impossible, because the laws don't allow that to happen.
Thank you, Melinda. I really appreciate the explanation. One question we had, and we're going to have this as a committee for each of the resolutions, is whether you foresee any necessary fiscal impact with the passage of this resolution?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, if we're talking about dismantling structures of power and control, that there's usually a financial impact of that along the line. And we have, we will have to explore what that's going to look like and over what period of time that's going to happen. But if we are going to talk about justice and equality, part of that means balancing power. And so that's not necessarily a free deal. It might be, but not necessarily. And certainly the work toward educating people about the doctrine of discovery is going to cost money.
There you go.
Okay.
I can go somewhere else.
No,
If everyone else who is not currently talking could please be sure you're muted. I'm getting a little background. I think someone doesn't understand that they're maybe unmuted. Thank you. So Melinda, along those lines, is there a specific amount of money for this upcoming fiscal year that you would be requesting be tied to this resolution specifically?
Well, the part of that was included in our budget request for the We Just task force. So would there be additional funds necessary? Probably. It also, part of what needs to be determined is what actions in the coming year are we going to be taking to move toward that dismantling. So before we know what that is, until we know what that is, we don't know how much that costs. I would say certainly some of the things connected with the We Just proposed budget might need to be reinstated.
Okay. And so I appreciate that. And it is difficult at this time. Our canons are not requiring through a resolution a specific amount for a budget request. So that wasn't required of you, Melinda, so I want to be clear about that. But it is something that just from an administrative standpoint, when we're looking at working on these resolutions, then if they should pass, right, we just want to be sure we're being fiscally aware and responsible of what those needs will be for the resolutions that may pass.
Beth, this is Bobby. Could I follow up with a comment from or not a comment, but Melinda wasn't able to be on our We Just meeting today, and we did discuss this. One of the things that, as she noted, was in our proposed budget, and we haven't sorted through how much of what exactly our priorities would be based on the diocesan council recommendation. But one of them that very clearly ties to the repudiation of the doctrine of discovery is to become a partner with the Episcopal Justice Roundtable, the Episcopal Indigenous Roundtable, that is part of that dismantling coalition to dismantle the doctrine of discovery. And so we had included membership in that as a placeholder. And then today we talked in a little more detail about a possible land back opportunity to help the Buffalo Initiative purchase additional land to tie two of their pieces together. Again, we're not saying we need $1 million to buy land, but we're saying we would anticipate having some conversations with the coalition to dismantle the doctrine of discovery, and the pay to play for that. Their recommended contribution is 1% of our operating budget. And again, I think we had just stuck, do you remember, Melinda, $10,000 in our proposed budget. So that's kind of in our budget already, Beth, but we're not sure if that would be part of that, or if we would need to specify that out of this resolution. So we're a little vague on that, but that at least might be a little more clarity on the tangible things that we would see in this year, in this next fiscal year, spending on what the doctrine of discovery can do in partnership with that coalition.
We had also included 4 sacred ground courses with the expectation that the more people that take that 12-session course, that gets them a little more thorough understanding of the doctrine of discovery and its historical origins and its historical and contemporary impacts on the church as well as society at large, that having 4 courses a year would give us the chance to get that many more people educated about it and knowledgeable about it, and also thinking about how to work toward its dismantling in their own congregations and communities.
Thank you, Melinda. So I do have some hands raised. I'm going to try to go in the order that I saw them. Bishop Owsley, please go ahead.
Thank you, Beth. This year's convention will present all of us gathered together with some interesting and perhaps unprecedented challenges, including the introduction of some basic fiscal responsibility and budget planning practices that have not been present in the Diocese of Wyoming in the past. So, for example, resolutions that may have financial implications, we will want in the future to tie some clear budget implications to those and impact. So what I've heard right now is there's some money that we might want to use for sacred ground that would relate to this resolution, and that was already in the budget request, which has not been funded as a specific line item within the budget now. There are places that we can go to look at in the future in 2026, but it's not in there now. And 1% of our operating budget to be a part of the coalition would be about $315,000, quite a bit more than $10,000. So just to bring a dose of financial reality to this conversation, I would be very interested as the chair of the convention to hear an amendment to this resolution that perhaps suggests that diocesan council consider appropriate additional funding to address this resolution and to study short-term and long-term budgetary impact and be prepared to present something to the 2026 convention for the 2027 budget year. That'll at least get us in the practice of planning and putting those things into budget earlier in the process. So no harm, no foul this year. Everything is really kind of flying the airplane as we build it. So thank you all very much for your comments and the additional information about this resolution. It's very helpful.
Thank you, Bishop. And I see Aaron, you had your hand up if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I would ditto much of what the bishop just said. I think the piece that, from my perspective, at convention would be really helpful is so that as we're asking members to vote on these resolutions, having clearly kind of stated in some kind of amendment or an additional note whether or not resolutions are already funded through, for example, WeJust's budget line item, whether there's requests that funding come out of the sort of unfunded mandates line item in the proposed budget, or if additional funding kind of over and above what's available there is being requested. I think that would just, in the interest of financial transparency, be really helpful for anyone who's making choices on these.
Thank you, Erin. I think that's good clarification. And that is the reason for our questions and the reason we wanted to give, you as the resolution sponsor an opportunity to maybe think about that then before convention and how to potentially work this resolution at convention. One just housekeeping thing that I will mention that applies to this resolution, and I actually think it applies to all three. I will be removing the language on behalf of We Just Task Force. There's nothing within our canons that suggests that groups that operate within the church or affiliated with the church have a seat or voice to bring resolutions at convention. It is only our actual members that are appropriate to bring resolutions. So that's certainly not going to prevent these resolutions, anything like that, because we do have appropriate persons listed as the bringers of the resolutions. But I want to let you know, I'm going to just amend that part out before we bring it at convention. So on this first resolution, then before I move on to the next one, anyone else have questions, comments, concerns? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on then. The next resolution that will be brought at convention for consideration is also been prepared by Reverend Melinda Bobo. And this resolution is titled "A Resolution Creating Educational Guidelines for Racial Reconciliation Formation for Leaders in the Episcopal Diocese of Wyoming." Melinda, do you want to go ahead and speak to this resolution and what your idea is here?
Certainly. So this is essentially patterned after the General Convention resolution that required at the previous convention in 2024 that all of the deputies and staff people participating in convention had to have some form of racial reconciliation training, the form of which could be determined by their diocese of whatever their standard racial reconciliation training was going to be. And since we did not have one in place, we chose the deputation essentially decided, since Sacred Ground was one that our diocese was already using, that would be the one that we would use as a team. And part of the conversation, and it's present there in the resolution itself, is that since we have said that we as a diocese are participating in the becoming beloved community that was set forth by the Episcopal Church, we need to have some form of training that we've selected. And very much in the spirit of the Safe Church training, that's something that should be for all of our leaders, whether it's lay leaders, clergy, etc.
Thank you, Melinda. I appreciate your explanation. And so with this formalizing of Sacred Ground as the leadership training for this diocese in line with that general convention, do you foresee a fiscal impact here?
The fiscal impact would be the cost of doing the courses.
Okay, very good.
And since they're done by Zoom, there's not travel involved. So it's basically for materials.
Okay. Very good.
And the resolution itself states that requirement would not come into play for 3 years. So it would not be until now let me do the math, 2028,
Right, okay.
so that people had time to be able to take that coursework.
Okay, very good. Are there other questions on this particular resolution as proposed? April,
I
I
have
see
one.
your hand. Oh,
I
I'm
have one.
sorry. I saw April's hand first.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I apologize. We'll let April go and then you.
Great. So it's more a comment with respect to thinking ahead fiscally. And again, in the request, the budget request for Wyoming Episcopal Justice Task Force, we were thinking that the cost of sacred ground might end up needing to be housed under our task force from, moving forward. And again, it is mostly just the cost of books, essentially, for participants. And so that request item in our budget request, for those who happen to receive it, that was looking ahead to the coming year, the 2026 educational season, essentially. So I guess one clarification I would want to know from the resolutions committee is whether a similar amendment should be added to this resolution as with the doctrine of discovery resolution. So thank you.
So yes, we will be removing similarly the language that this is a we just resolution. This will be moved forward by the individual that prepared it, which was listed as Reverend Melinda Bobo. So it will be listed in that manner. So yes, that change will be made. But as before, I think it's just a suggestion because I think it would be really helpful to be ready to discuss any fiscal impacts for resolutions. And we're looking at making that more official maybe in future years, and that being an actual requirement. So I think it's probably a good idea to just start thinking about that now as we look at resolutions. And I think, Jim, were you the other commenter? Go ahead.
Yes. I may have missed this, but when we're talking about leadership, are we talking about also church vestries that would need this if it come into
Yes.
2020?
So it's essentially the same list of leaders that are required to take Safe Church.
So basically anybody that's got a key to the churches is kind of the way I've seen, that's the way I've been training. If you got a key to the
Okay.
church, you've got a safe church.
Then yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the resolution itself lists all clergy, lay employees, and lay leaders. So I would say if you have a key to a church, you are a leader. So I think that's probably an accurate way to look at that. Got another hand. Who do I got? Christy, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify one thing with the key to the church, safe church label. The key to the church includes our cleaning people that might come in, any maintenance folks or, volunteers with the soup kitchen. I am so sorry about that dog. Anyway, so we might want to clarify that a little tighter, if we use that as the standard for who participates in this, because I'm not sure that, the cleaning folks would be welcome to, but I don't know that that's our intention.
Thank you, Christy. It's definitely, I think, clear from the resolution. So I hope everybody would agree that the resolution does make it clear that everyone understands. I think the only thing that would be a question is what's a lay leader, but I think everyone clearly understands who our lay leaders are in churches. Do we have concerns about that? Is that too vague?
The terminology also has lay employees, so that's it's a good point, Christy, to bring up. The terminology in the resolution does not say those who have a key. So it's worth considering for sure.
That is a good point, April. Yeah, it does specifically say lay employees. So yeah, although I would say a lot of maybe what we were just saying are probably contracted, they're probably not employees of the diocese, but they're yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know for sure if that would be a problem or if that would be important to keep it.
So Beth,
Wait.
my
I would
question.
just say that we did pull the language from the Safe Church resolutions. So if we're not sure, if we're
Yeah.
not sure about who that is, we're not sure about who it is for them either. So
I appreciate that.
it would
Yeah.
probably be helpful for us to define that so that we are clear both for Safe Church and for, if this passes, this
Mhm.
resolution.
Thank you. Yeah. Did you have something else, Jim?
Yeah, the only thing that I have question about is sometimes in these smaller churches, we have trouble getting vestry members. And if we're throwing in another 12-week class on them, I just don't know that might deter some people from joining the vestries. So I'm thinking that probably if it's going to be leadership, maybe it should be like priests and deacons or anybody that's in a standing committee or the financial committees or that. But where you're making it so broad and you're making it vestries, I already have trouble with some churches that we can't get people to be on the vestries. And you add 12 more weeks and it might be difficult.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that comment and perspective. I'm sure Melinda does as well. I am getting some comments I'm just going to bring from the chat to everyone's attention. Mary had mentioned that she is concerned that that definition is too vague. She believes Safe Church is specifically those with keys to the church, so she's not sure that that is identical. Kira is indicating lay leadership and people with keys to the building are actually separate categories for training. And again, Mary is saying she loves sacred ground. And wonders if we want to tie ourselves to sacred ground.
Mary, may I ask you to clarify on that? Is that just the idea of other racial reconciliation courses in addition to Sacred Ground? Is that what you mean? Okay, she says yes.
She says yes. Okay.
Part of the reason why we suggested Sacred Ground for this is because it's something that the diocese is already doing. We have people that are trained to lead it. We don't necessarily have anybody trained we don't necessarily know that much about other racial reconciliation trainings, and we don't have people trained to do it. So this could start, if we do Sacred Ground, it's something we've been doing. It's something that's had a very positive response from the people that participate in it. We have people who have had the course who are willing to be trainers. And so it would enable us to start. If we decide not to do that, then we have to start by looking at what's out there and get people trained in it so that they are able to be trainers. So we were thinking facilitating being able to start this.
Okay, thank you. And I know I saw another hand, Reverend Anne-Marie Delgado, if you want to go ahead.
Sure, thank you. And following on from what Melinda said, this program is currently being updated and will continue to be updated and is supported by the presiding bishop. So it's a program that's already fulfilling the need that is the requirement from General Convention. So I think it makes sense to use something that's already being developed with professionals than trying to create something new as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That's appreciated. Anyone else? Comments? Okay. Very good. Thanks, everyone. Let's move to our third resolution then. This resolution has been prepared by Miranda Marks. And I don't know if I saw her on the, oh, she is here.
Yep.
Hi, Miranda.
Hello.
This one's titled A Resolution of the Episcopal Diocese of Wyoming affirming its support of LGBTQIA2S+ persons. If you would walk us through this, that'd be great, Miranda.
Yes, I'd be very happy to.
Thank you.
So I know that you'll be removing the We Just Task Force language from the resolution, but just so people are aware, this resolution did come about from discussions in the LGBTQ subgroup of that task force. In our conversations, we felt that it was important for us as a diocese to reaffirm the commitments made by the larger Episcopal Church in support and in inclusion of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, asexual, and two-spirit people in Wyoming. The resolution states a bit more specifically, sorry, I've got it pulled up here. I thought I was a little bit more prepared than I am right now. My apologies. The specific resolves that we have are that our diocese will affirm the life, dignity, and full inclusion of this community, that we will affirm marriage equality for all adult persons, and that we will encourage the bishop's office to recommend or offer education programs to our congregations and groups wanting to learn more about the Christian queer community in the Diocese of Wyoming and the church at large, and to better understand the theology, philosophy, and science pertaining to sexuality, gender identity, and gender expression. We felt that this was a way for the diocese to live out our baptismal covenant, specifically the promises to seek and serve Christ in all persons and to strive for justice and peace among all people. At this time, we do not have a comprehensive educational program planned. Should this resolution pass, we will work with Bishop Owsley and his office to create theologically sound programs that are both spiritually and educationally fulfilling. We also want to make sure that any programming we offer to the diocese meets the needs that we have. So, for example, if there is a need for greater education on just what different sexual orientations and gender identities there are, or maybe something about the Episcopal Church's history of supporting this community, that's where we would start. We really want to make sure that any educational opportunities we're providing are really meeting the needs of the diocese. And at the heart of this resolution for us is living out Christ's commandment that we love one another. If I can anticipate your question about fiscal needs, because I at least lucked out that I had a little bit of more time to think about that than Melinda did. I think ultimately it will depend on the kind of educational programming that we create or choose to use. I can't give you a specific dollar amount, but my guess would be less than $5,000. And I think I can speak for the rest of the subgroup and the We Just Task Force that if this resolution passes, we look forward to learning together with Bishop Owsley in developing these educational programs for the diocese.
Wonderful. Thank you, Miranda. Anyone else? Questions, concerns, comments on this proposed resolution that you'd like to discuss? Oh, I see a hand. April, go ahead.
Just a quick note as well that the first 1, 2, 3, 4 resolves in this resolution strongly basically cite directly from General Convention resolutions dating back to 1976, but some more recently, 2006, 2015, 2018. So this is also in line with what the General Convention has stated beforehand.
Thank you, April. Anyone else have questions, comments? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, thanks. As I'm pondering this and listening, and with the current political landscape, I'm wondering if we have the second resolve says that the 59th Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of Wyoming affirms marriage equality for adult persons. I'm wondering if we need to strengthen that in some way in case we see an overturn of Obergefell and marriage equality in general. But I don't know, maybe that takes care of it. Maybe I'm overreacting. I'm not sure, but that would be my only question, is if within this resolution or somewhere else, if we need to strengthen our stance on that.
Thank you for that feedback, Todd. I appreciate it.
Anyone have anything else on this resolution or any questions, concerns in general for resolutions for convention? Happy to go over that too. Okay, well, I think everybody's old hat at this stuff, so we should be okay.
Of course, as soon as you said that, I raised my hand. My apologies.
You're good.
I have a process question.
Yeah.
So some amendments have been suggested for each of these three resolutions, and I'd love to know timeline and expectations around what that looks like. Do those come on the floor, or do we amend them before convention and then they're presented at convention as amended?
Yes, so someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that they're except for changes that are clerical, which is kind of the change I'm making, taking off on behalf of We Just and that. But substantive at this point, I believe will have to be amendments from the floor for the resolution, but obviously the bringer of the resolution could bring this suggested amendment as well. So if you would want to present your resolution and immediately bring forward that you have yourself prepared, you know, an amendment for it, I think it can be presented together in that way from the floor.
And then another question, is it, what is the process hypothetically if one were to try to bring another resolution on the floor? It's a 2-vote process, is that correct?
Yeah, good question. It is. So yes, an additional resolution that we did not cover, that was not typed and timely presented for our consideration here today or for our committee's consideration, does not mean that it can't be brought. So resolutions can be brought from the floor at convention. The first part of that is to raise the idea of the resolution that you are seeking to bring. And the body has to first vote by 2/3 that they're willing to consider that resolution. So with a 2/3 vote of consideration, then the resolution, if it passes that, can be brought for a regular majority vote on the substance of that resolution.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Mary asked one more question. Are we going to have any resolutions updating or clarifying Canyon? Not this convention. We do not have that for this convention. But we may be looking to review these canons coming up, but we are not prepared to present that this year. I thought I saw, did I have another hand? Sorry if I'm.
I did. I just wanted
Go
to make
ahead.
sure that you saw Mary's comment, but you beat me to it.
Oh, thank you, Miranda. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good question. Any other questions right now that, or anything on resolutions anyone wants to bring up? Okay, hearing none, I think we can call this meeting adjourned unless I have anything from anybody else. Okay, well, I really appreciate everyone attending. This is great attendance. I'm really looking forward to these resolutions at convention and maybe more, I guess we'll see. So looking forward to that with everyone. And April, one more thing, go ahead.
With permission, may I make an announcement about the upcoming pre-convention meeting?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so on Thursday evening, and all of a sudden I'm forgetting what time, so bear with me. I know
Read
this.
which, the immigration?
No, Thursday evening, no, this Thursday,
This
September
Thursday evening.
25th, at 6
yes.
p.m. is going to be the candidate forum. And just a reminder for any of you who are really praying deeply about whether to self-nominate or nominate someone else for any of the roles, that you can find on the annual convention webpage. I'll try to stick it in here real quick. Please remember that the deadline in order to be a part of the candidate forum, which we need to send an email out to the candidates, note to self, is end of business day on Wednesday, the 24th. So if you have not yet self-nominated, but you've been praying and are leaning that direction and want to do that, please do so soon. And we look forward to seeing the candidates there and journeying with them, hearing from them. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Any other announcements? This is a good forum for that too. So if there's any more, please feel free. Christy, go ahead.
Since we're doing announcements, I'll do a couple shameless plugs for the foundation. Our next grant deadline is October 1st, and we have funds to give to our congregations to make our world a better place. So please submit something. And we're offering stewardship resources this year. So if your congregation wants to use TENS, the Episcopal Network for Stewardship, I'll give you the password, or else I've offered to purchase the SALT stewardship program because it is lovely. It is so lovely. And they're fundraiser tested and approved, guaranteed to increase your stewardship and the joy of giving. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Anyone else have anything to share? Bishop, can I call on you to end us with a closing prayer?
Certainly.
Thank you.
I'll begin by also giving thanks to each of you for being here tonight, and a special thanks to Beth and the Resolution Committee and all those who have worked so hard to present resolutions to convention that will stimulate conversation and depth of thought and prayer in our life together. So thank you all very much. The Lord be with you.
So with you.
Let us pray. God of mercy and God of justice, we give thanks for you and for your guidance to us as we endeavor to live the life that we have committed to, a life in Christ. We ask that you continue to instill us each with wisdom and with spirit, with fire and zeal to work on your behalf to make this world a better place. And particularly as we labor in that corner of the vineyard that we call Wyoming. Be with each and every one of us as we go forth tonight and in the days ahead. And we trust that you will be with us as we gather in convention in Rollins in just a few short weeks. It is through your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and thanks so much for joining.